This is the first time that I'm speaking about it. Something that I'll never...
A former assistant to Sean Diddy Combs speaking out in the new interview with new allegations about wild parties and drug use.
Prepare yourselves, because what we're about to dive into will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about one of the most prominent families in hip-hop. The name Sean Diddy Combs has been etched into the annals of music history as a symbol of success, power, and relentless ambition. But behind the glitz, the Grammy Awards, and the multi-million-dollar empire lies a dark, twisted web of allegations that threaten to dismantle it all. And at the heart of this scandal, not just Diddy himself, but the very woman he has always credited as his guiding light, his mother, Janice Combs.
He was responsible for Diddy's day-to-day life, so he is able to provide a lot of information about what that life was like. He goes into detail on extensive use.
Yes, you heard that right. Janice Combs, the same woman Diddy once hailed as his Black Goddess Queen, who sacrificed everything to ensure her son's rise to stardom, is now under the scrutiny of federal agents. The FBI has launched an active investigation into her alleged involvement in some of the most shocking schemes ever associated with a celebrity family. It's a revelation that has left fans and critics alike reeling. How could the devoted matriarch who inspired Diddy's empire now be at the center of accusations ranging from financial fraud to orchestrating violent conspiracies? It's a dramatic irony that feels torn straight from the pages of a thriller novel. The allegations against Janice Combs are nothing short of jaw-dropping. We're talking about claims that she didn't just support her son's ventures, but actively masterminded some of the most ruthless moves in his career. Take, for instance, the chilling lawsuit filed by Kirk Burroughs, the co-founder of Bad Boy Entertainment. According to Burroughs, who once had a 25% stake in the label, his life was forever changed in 1996, when Diddy stormed into his office wielding a baseball bat. Under the threat of violence, Burroughs says he was forced to sign over his shares, which were then transferred to none other than Janice Combs herself. While Janice wasn't physically present during the altercation, Burroughs alleges that she orchestrated the entire scheme from the shadows. Now homeless and living in shelters, Burroughs is fighting for justice decades later, accusing Janice of years of deception and manipulation.
And I know you said he explained all of the items that were involved in these Wild King nights. Did he mention who would participate as well?
A lot of them were unknown to him. He did mention that a lot of the women were very, very young as 20, not underage, but certainly young women.
Can you imagine the emotional toll this has taken on Burroughs? Once a key player in the meteoric rise of Bad Boy, now reduced to a cautionary tale of betrayal. And yet, as devastating as Burroughs' story is, it's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the shocking allegations swirling around Janice Combs. But let's get into the part that has everyone talking, the infamous Freakoff parties. These aren't just rumors of wild celebrity gatherings. They're being described in testimonies as deeply disturbing events filled with coercion and exploitation. Witnesses have come forward claiming that Janice played a crucial role in introducing her son to explicit and deviant behaviors at a young age, setting the stage for the chaos that would follow. Courtney Burgess, a key witness in the federal investigation, has testified that footage from these gatherings exists. Footage so damning it allegedly implicates not just Diddy, but several A-list celebrities and even minors. These revelations aren't just tarnishing the Combs family legacy, they're shattering it.
So Diddy, after the Cassie lawsuit, gets hit with a bunch of lawsuits, and then ultimately the raids, and
yet, despite the mounting evidence and public outcry, Janice has publicly defended her son at every turn. In an emotional statement following Diddy's September 2024 arrest, she called the allegations a public lynching and insisted that her son is not the monster the world is painting him to be. But here's the question we're all asking. Are these heartfelt defenses the actions of a desperate mother trying to protect her child, or part of a calculated PR strategy to shield the family's empire? It's hard to ignore the cracks in the once perfect facade of the Combs dynasty, especially when you consider Janice's health scare in mid-2024, a moment that many believe was a direct result of the stress from Diddy's mounting legal troubles. And then there's the evidence presented by Kirk Burroughs. The details are nothing short of shocking. A baseball bat, a forced signature, and a 25% stake in one of the most influential record labels in history, all allegedly transferred to Janice, who Burroughs claims was the true puppet master behind the scenes. Court documents describe her as maintaining a facade of integrity while systematically dismantling Burroughs' career and financial future. For decades, she portrayed herself as an innocent bystander, but now the federal investigation threatens to expose what some are calling one of the most elaborate deceptions in music history.
This criminal case. And the feds, Al Capone style, have not charged everything under the sun. They've charged three main charges: racketeering, sex trafficking, and the transport of a... And I'll tell you, I don't know about the racketeering charge. It's pretty sweeping. And I'll tell you what the general what the general elements are.
But perhaps the most heartbreaking moment in this unraveling saga is the recent visit between Janice and Diddy's twin daughters at the Brooklyn Detention Center, where he's currently being held. Imagine the scene. A proud grandmother, once celebrated as the backbone of her son's empire, trying to keep her composure as her family crumbles around her. What must those teenage girls be thinking as they watch the dynasty they were born into fall apart? It's a somber reminder that behind every scandal, there are real people, real families, and real pain. As we close this chapter, one thing is clear. The Combs family is facing a reckoning unlike anything we've ever seen before. From the allegations of violent takeovers and financial fraud to the disturbing claims of exploitation at those infamous parties, the truth is beginning to surface, and it's uglier than anyone could have imagined. Is this the beginning of the end for the Combs dynasty? Or will they find a way to rise from the ashes of this scandal? One thing's for sure, the world will be watching. Stay tuned, because this story is far from over.
Let's talk about the filth that's starting to come out in the early days of the Diddy trial. This, of course, is P. Diddy. Surprise, surprise, he's a creep. Surprise, surprise, he's done horrible things.
As the walls close in on the Combs family, new revelations are emerging, and they are more explosive than anyone could have anticipated. The trial of Sean Diddy Combs is set to begin in May 2025, but the drama surrounding this case has already reached fever pitch. And at the center of it all is one of Diddy's most high-profile accusers, Cassie Ventura. Her testimony has sent shockwaves through the industry, painting a picture of manipulation, coercion, and violence that spanned years. What she revealed about her tumultuous relationship with Diddy has not only shattered her silence, but also inspired others to come forward, turning this into one of the most massive legal battles in entertainment history. The floodgates have opened, and the stories now pouring out are almost too shocking to process. Multiple women have testified that they were lured to Diddy's parties under false pretenses, promised opportunities or connections that never materialized. Instead, they described feeling trapped in environments where they were outnumbered and overpowered. Some claim they were coerced into staying by associates who confiscated their personal belongings, including phones and wallets. The prosecution alleges that this was a deliberate tactic, ensuring that no one could leave or document what was happening behind closed doors. These testimonies paint a picture of events orchestrated with military-like precision, raising questions about just how far Diddy's influence extended.
Unfortunately, we're all going to take a disgusting trip to his seedy, awful world. You know, the man has no class. He has no kindness in his dark, dark heart. And he's depraved. That's my opinion. This is a depraved, disgusting individual about whom I wish to hear nothing after this trial is done.
Adding to this already overwhelming case are the accounts from former employees who have come forward anonymously. These individuals have described a culture of fear within Diddy's inner circle, where questioning his actions was not an option. According to their statements, staff members were allegedly instructed to facilitate these infamous freak-offs by coordinating travel for attendees, providing specific substances, and ensuring that certain individuals were isolated from the public eye. While some employees have expressed regret for their roles, they claim they were often too afraid to say no, fearing retaliation that could ruin their careers. Or worse, these chilling accounts raise even more questions about how such behavior was allowed to go unchecked for so long. The details Cassie provided in court created a ripple effect that left everyone in the courtroom stunned. She described with chilling precision how she was allegedly monitored at all times, with security guards reporting her movements directly to Diddy. She even claimed that her phone was frequently checked and that any attempt to distance herself from his control was met with psychological and physical intimidation. Prosecutors emphasized this pattern of behavior as a key part of their case, alleging that it wasn't just Cassie who endured such treatment, but potentially dozens of others. This wasn't just control, it was domination, designed to strip individuals of their autonomy and leave them entirely dependent on him.
Was centerpiece of a lot of what happened during direct testimony were freak-offs. And what the prosecution tried to show was that he forced and or coerced her into doing these freak-offs. And we've talked about this earlier this week, that at least my opinion is that in a lot of these, the prosecution just didn't close the loop. It was something she felt.
What's even more disturbing are the allegations about how Diddy used his vast resources to silence those who tried to expose him. Prosecutors have pointed to financial records and testimonies that suggest a well-oiled machine of payouts, NDAs, and intimidation tactics. One former employee has reportedly submitted a statement claiming they were tasked with delivering envelopes of cash to individuals who had threatened to go to the press. These payouts, they allege, were always accompanied by a warning: stay silent or face the consequences. The court filings even reference private investigators allegedly hired to track accusers, adding yet another layer to the sprawling conspiracy. Cassie's court statements are nothing short of harrowing. She described in vivid detail the infamous incident at a Los Angeles hotel in 2016, a moment that was captured on leaked surveillance footage. leaving no room for denial. In the video, Diddy can be seen grabbing Cassie, throwing her to the ground, and dragging her by her sweatshirt. The footage is chilling, but it's her words that truly cut to the bone. Cassie testified that this was not an isolated incident, but rather part of a larger pattern of behavior that left her feeling trapped and powerless. He showed up. Quite a bit, she told the court, recounting nights when Diddy would bang on her door, demanding entry. And when she couldn't turn to anyone else, she sought refuge at the home of one of his own security guards. Can you imagine the emotional turmoil of having to hide from someone who claimed to love you?
Did Phil explain why he's speaking out now?
He said he's speaking out because he believes Diddy's a predator. He wants accountability, and he doesn't want someone like this to run unchecked in the future.
But here's where things take an even darker turn. Cassie's bravery in coming forward has encouraged a wave of others to do the same. As of now, over 100 individuals, yes, you heard that right, have stepped forward with allegations against Diddy. And the details are beyond disturbing. Prosecutors are building a case around what they describe as a systematic operation of exploitation, events that Diddy allegedly called freakoffs, where women were coerced and held against their will. Witness testimonies and evidence have revealed that these gatherings were far from the glamorous parties the public assumed. Instead, they were a nightmarish underworld of control and abuse. Flash drives handed over by Kim Porter before her tragic passing are said to contain damning footage, some of which involve high-profile celebrities. The implications of these tapes are staggering and could implicate individuals far beyond Diddy himself. The scale of these allegations is staggering. Court documents reveal that more than 120 individuals have either filed suits or are in the process of doing so. Many of these cases detail eerily similar patterns, suggesting a level of premeditation that is horrifying to consider. Victims have described being flown across state lines, often under the pretense of professional opportunities, only to find themselves in situations they could not escape. The prosecution has referred to these actions as a calculated abuse of power, one that relied on Diddy's wealth and connections to shield him from accountability for decades. The question now is whether this trial will finally bring justice, not just for his accusers, but for an entertainment industry that has long turned a blind eye to such behavior.
They saw the evidence in the case. They immediately honed in on racketeering, and they started saying, why is this racketeering with one guy? And they're charging this one guy. They had a real problem with that. They did not have a problem with the Mann Act. They found him guilty on the Mann Act. And they hung 6 to 6 on racketeering.
Investigators are also focusing on the financial side of these allegations. Court filings indicate that millions of currency units were allegedly funneled into shell companies and offshore accounts, part of what prosecutors describe as an elaborate scheme to cover up the ongoing abuse. These funds were reportedly used to pay off victims, silence witnesses, and maintain the secrecy surrounding Diddy's personal life. Experts have called this case a watershed moment, not just for its shocking claims, but for the way it exposes the mechanisms that allow powerful figures to evade scrutiny. This isn't just about one celebrity. This is about dismantling a system of exploitation that has gone unchecked for far too long. The flash drives, reportedly handed over by Kim Porter, are now a focal point for investigators. Legal experts have noted that the contents of these drives could potentially implicate more than just Diddy. Early reports suggest that some of the footage includes individuals who are even more high profile, raising the stakes of this case to unprecedented levels. Prosecutors are working meticulously to verify the authenticity of the footage, but they've already hinted that what they've seen so far is deeply troubling. The ripple effects of these revelations could shake the entertainment industry to its core, leaving no corner untouched. For years, these events were whispered about in Hollywood circles, but now the whispers are turning into a roar.
The question is he a criminal? Is he basically akin to a mob boss running several criminal enterprises? And while it's very clear to me he is a depraved, disgusting person, we have to prove that he violated the law.
What's especially damning is the alleged involvement of Diddy's late partner, Kim Porter, in documenting his actions. According to witnesses, Porter's unpublished memoir detailed years of abuse and coercion she experienced herself, as well as disturbing accounts of what she witnessed at these gatherings. The manuscript, titled Kim's Lost Words, A Journey for Justice, from the Other Side, briefly surfaced online before being mysteriously pulled from Amazon. Prosecutors believe this memoir could provide key insights into Diddy's alleged long-term patterns of behavior and the lengths he went to in order to keep his secrets buried. The March 2024 raids on Diddy's properties only added more fuel to the fire. Federal agents discovered thousands of bottles of baby oil and other items prosecutors believe were used during these alleged events. The sheer scale of what they uncovered is mind-boggling. These items, combined with testimonies and evidence from witnesses, paint a picture of an empire built not just on music and business, but on a foundation of secrecy and control. And it doesn't stop there. The government's case against Diddy includes mountains of evidence, from financial records to witness statements, that suggest this wasn't just a personal scandal. It was an orchestrated operation spanning decades.
And what's really going to be interesting is the parade of celebrities who we expect to be mentioned and or called into that courtroom. You know, people who we hadn't heard about prior, like Mike Myers, you know, Austin Powers, Mike Myers. Why is he getting called? Why is he on the witness list? That'll be fascinating. And then, of course, there are the no-name, quote unquote, women who are going to have to find every ounce of courage they have.
What's even more shocking is how deep this rabbit hole goes. Witnesses like Courtney Burgess have testified about the existence of explicit footage involving not just Diddy, but several A-list celebrities. Burgess claims to hold multiple flash drives containing videos so incriminating that they could topple careers and reputations across Hollywood. The tapes reportedly show individuals engaging in behavior that cannot be ignored, with some participants allegedly being underage at the time. And if you thought this was just speculation, think again. Legal experts are already suggesting that if these tapes are accepted as evidence, they could become the linchpin of the prosecution's case, potentially leading to even more arrests. While the legal fallout continues to grow, the cultural impact of this scandal is impossible to ignore. Diddy's downfall serves as a mirror to the entertainment industry itself, exposing the darker side of fame and power. For decades, the music mogul was untouchable, a symbol of success and influence. But now his name has become synonymous with betrayal, deceit, and alleged crimes that leave a stain on the entire industry. Former associates, bodyguards, and employees have come forward with their own accounts, painting a damning portrait of a man who was willing to do whatever it took to maintain control. And the question we're all asking is this: how many others in positions of power have operated the same way, hiding behind their wealth and influence?
A lot of times you have him with a younger female, and there's a power dynamic there. A more impressionable girl is easier to reel in. Consent is between the people that are engaging, and I wasn't there in these situations to understand the consent.
But let's not forget the human cost of all this. The families, the victims, and even Diddy's own children who are now grappling with the weight of these accusations. October 2024, Diddy's 6 oldest children released a joint statement expressing their heartbreak over the situation, calling it devastating for their family. And who could blame them? The public scrutiny, the media frenzy, and the sheer gravity of the charges must be unbearable even as they stand by their father. The cracks in their united front are becoming more apparent. How do you reconcile the man you know as your father with the allegations being leveled against him? As we approach Diddy's May 2025 trial, the anticipation for new revelations is palpable. Will more witnesses step forward? Will more witnesses step forward? Will the flash drives be the smoking gun the prosecution needs? And perhaps most chillingly, who else might be implicated as the evidence continues to unfold? Legal experts are already saying this trial could set a precedent for accountability in the entertainment industry, forcing us all to reevaluate the price of power and fame.
In the moment, it just felt like, what? Like, is this fun for him? Is this a test?
In the end, as we piece together this tangled web of allegations, one question remains. How did it come to this? How did one of the most celebrated figures in music become the epicenter of such a dark and disturbing narrative? Is this the inevitable collapse of an empire built on secrets and lies? Or is there more to the story that we have yet to uncover? One thing is certain, the truth is out there, and it's only a matter of time before it comes to light. What do you think? Are you buying Diddy's claims of innocence, or does the evidence speak for itself? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping updates on the biggest scandals rocking Hollywood.